Okay, we stopped somewhere on number 7. Let me start with mantra. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Well, when I said that I'm doing this for myself, I meant something deeper than just doing for myself. There is nothing better to do. And this is quite interesting because there is a very beautiful story about the prince and princess. The princess was announcing Swayamvara. This is Buddhistic story. And many kings and princes came to marry her, to offer her marriage. So there was one who was offering her a lot of money, other was offering her the palace in gold, and so on and so forth. Everyone was offering some. Some came with a sacred book and said that her name will be written and known forever in the history of humanity. So everyone was bribing her with something. And then there was one bard who was just came and playing lute or something, and then he started to play his song and sing, and everybody started to dance and very happily, including the king. And then he started to change his tune, and everybody started to cry, very sad. And then they asked him, "How do you do this?" And he says, "You see, I sing to myself, but it sounds for you. So I believe in myself," he said. So Princess shouted, "I want to believe in myself," and went with him.
That's great.
So the story is kind of simple. So in this kind of framework, I'm saying that I do this for myself. For myself with capital S, yes? And there is no other way to do it right. You cannot do it for others. It just doesn't work that way. Especially with these texts. All right. So we stopped here. Nanarena avarena prokta esha suvijneyo bahudha chintiyamanah ananya prokte gatir atra nasti aniyan hayatarkam anu pramanat. An inferior man cannot tell you of him, for thus told thou canst not truly know him. It's kind of complicated, yes? Thus told, for thus told thou canst not truly know him, since he is thought of in many aspects. So I will translate in my way. By man inferior prokta esha, and cannot be or is not pronounced or told literally. He is not told by the inferior man. Suvijneyah, he is to be distinguished perfectly. Bahudha chintyamana, and thought about in many different aspects and ways. So if it is not distinguished perfectly or properly, and not thought in many ways, so it cannot be known. Some inferior man cannot tell you, yes, there is the divine, that's enough. No, that is not going to work.
You have to
None.
contemplate it yourself, in other words.
Hmm?
You have to
Yes,
contemplate it in all its aspects.
right. You have to do your work. It has to be your knowledge, your interest, your discernment, your thoughts. If they are not yours, it won't work. It's something similar to what we said, that one has to do it for oneself. And if one doesn't do this, does it for others, then it is that inferior man speaking the truth which is not his.
Mm.
And once it is not his, it has no effect. And the person accepts it as objective knowledge or information, it won't do anything. Information is not education, as Sri Aurobindo says.
Mm.
Imparting information is no education at all. That is his phrase. Imparting information. So it needs to be kind of appropriated, or how to say. It has to be taken by the person, made one's own. Ananya prokte gatir asyanasti. And there is no other way. Yet, that's how Shobindra, unless told of him, of the divine, by another, thou canst not find thy way there to him. This is an amazing statement, which is kind of puzzling in some way, but it is absolutely true in every aspect, in every example in the history of spirituality. We find this, that the initiation to the path to the divine has to be done by the living being.
Yeah, there was something we said the other day that was the same thing.
Oh yeah, we were already most probably here. I'm just repeating.
I think it was different words, but anyway, yeah, same idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless it is spoken by another of him, you cannot find path to him. For he is subtler than subtlety, and that which is logic cannot reach. So logically, one can prove everything, yes? One can prove the divinity and so on, but that is not the knowledge. Yeah?
But it seems to me that this wouldn't necessarily need to be a living being, that someone like Sri Aurobindo or Mother or any great
Yeah,
yogi speaks to us through their written words also, no?
I think so. I think that Sri Aurobindo was writing so much because of that, yeah? And especially letters on yoga. But yeah, we need some kind of entry. Even the mother herself, she was having all these experiences. We spoke about this. And she needed Max Deon and Alma to tell her. And then she even somewhere describes this, that her divine mother being came to her, so to say. So she joined her own thing, her own self. So mm, this kind of initiation or push has to be done from someone alive. And we mentioned Vivekananda and his disciple, yes, in that previous talk, that he asked him, did you see God? Yeah. He said, yes, I saw him better than I see you. And from that time on, this person changed. Yeah. This phrase is enough, this assertion of some kind, that we need some kind of certainty from living creature. And that will change, or allow us to enter into this search, the proper search, subjective search. As Sri Aurobindo says, when everything is explained, nothing is known. Yes, this is something of that kind, that you can logically arrive at knowledge of the divine, but it will not be enough. Knowledge would not be there. Naisha tarkena matir apaneya prokta anyena eva sujnanaya preshtha yam tvam apach satyadhriti batasi tvadrikno bhuyat nachiketa prashta. So this mati, this thought, or this Sri Aurobindo translates here as wisdom, cannot be, is not to be had. Apaneya, na esha matich. This thought cannot be gotten by tarkena, by thinking, by logical conclusions and derivations and arriving, by philosophy. By philosophy it cannot be approached, or by reasoning, he translates. So if we read, for example, I don't know, Hegel or Kant, you will never arrive at this knowledge. You will sharpen your intellect, yes. The instrument will be very sharp and very, it's very good to do it, yeah, for your mind, to have a sharp mind. But the knowledge of the divine will not come from that. O beloved Nachiketas, Preshta, only when told thee by another, it brings real knowledge.
Yeah, that was the phrase I remembered.
Oh, we were here already, okay. So maybe I'm repeating. All right, then we move forward. Truly thou art steadfast in the truth, even such a question as thou art may I meet with always. So Yama himself wishes to have more Nachiketas people. Janamyaham Sheva Dhich Ityanityam Nahi Adhruvaich Prapyate Hidhruvam Tat Tatomaya Nachiketas Chito Gnich Anityaich Dravyaich Praptavan Asmi Nityam. Nachiketa speaks, I know of treasure that is not forever. So, Janami Aham Shevadhich Iti Anityam. I know that this treasure, this manifestation, this transition in the body is anityam, is not forever, is perishable. Nahi adhruvaich prapyate hidhruvam tat, and not by unsteady or unstable shall one attain that which is stable. This is interesting kind of logic of Hegel. You cannot arrive at the aim by the means which are not from that aim. So by the unstable things, you cannot arrive at stable. You cannot discover it. So in this logic, there is something. So you need to have a different means. Only by Brahman you can realize Brahman. Tato maya nachiketach chitognich. And I collected chitach agnich. Nachiketas. Nachiketas agnich, we already spoke about this. This is the flame in the heart, triple flame, which he called Nachiketas. So by me, therefore, I heaped the fire of Nachiketas, and by the sacrifice of transitory things, I won the eternal. This is important. So I kind of kindled the fire within me, triple fire, and by the sacrificing the anityaich dravyaich, by unsteady things, I achieved or realized the eternal, the steady.
That's like Mother telling us to throw all of the imperfections of the nature into the flame,
Right.
flame.
Yeah, all things, imperfections and perfections, everything, because our perfections and our good and bad, she says, they are very close on the scale. So everything goes there for transformation.
It's also like a devotional form of the neti neti process. Everything that's not the divine, everything transitory, just throw it into the flame.
Yes, yes. Neti neti is to recognize that that eternal, that nothing is here eternal, as long as your mind is clinging to it. Yeah? So to clear the mind, and once the mind is cleared, you may have a chance to see something, or not. Depends. Neti neti may not work also, because you will be stuck somewhere in something. Yeah, something will become that, some dogma or understanding of the divine.
Mm.
It's quite interesting. In Buddhistic terms, the meditation is exactly this type, neti neti, and also Advaitic. It is from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, neti neti, and na iti, so not this, not that, yeah, all the time. And in the Buddhistic, it is in Dhammapada, it is prescribed, and I think somewhere else, that you have to quit all the desires, all the claims, all the aspirations, except one, and that is to achieve the freedom, mukti. So you keep only one desire, mukti. And when you cleared up from yourself from all desires, then only one is there, then you have to remove even that. Then there will be mukti. Because they to want to have mukti become an obstacle to get it. Yeah? Interesting. So total clarity in the mind, nothing mm, nothing is there to receive anything. By the way, I noticed this works all the time when you are in the state in between thoughts, and when you come in this state with desiring nothing or wanting nothing, thinking nothing, just somehow caught in between, and you come to samadhi, and you sit down. This is the most powerful meditation, because then the presence has access to you, without you managing it.
Mm.
So it has its value. So by adravya, by anitya dravyas, by the unsteady things, one can reach, after all, the steady one, though he said not before, but through the sacrifice. Sacrifice would be to give it to the inner flame. Kamasyaptim jagatah pratishtham krator ananyam abhayasya param stomam mahatu urugayam pratishtham drishtva dharitya dhiro nachiketo tyasrakshih. Kamasyaptim jagatah pratishtham. So it is all this long list of things. The achievement of karma, the foundation of Jagat, of the world, Kratoch Anantyam, and the unending of the will, no end or infinity of the will, as it were, infinity of power. Um, Abhayasya Param, and the other shore of the fearlessness or courage. Stormam Mahat, the uh, assertion of the higher great assertion, stormam mahat, orugayam, spreading vast, or Shibindra said, praise and scope and wide moving and firm foundation, pratishtham, drishtva, having seen, dharitya, by their steadiness, dhira, the wise, nachiketa, atyasrakshich, cast away. Cast these things from thee. It's interesting, yes. You see, having seen all of this, it's like neti in a way. Having seen all this, having thought about them, one frees oneself from everything, becomes free from every clinging of truth or understanding of truth. Tam durdarsham gurham anupravishtam, guhahitam gahvareshtham puranam adhyatma yogadhigamena devam matva dhirah harsha shoka jahati. And having thought or having realized in the mind that God, or let us say, having contemplated on that God by the study of the Adhyatma Yoga, spiritual yoga, I'm translating my own for now, that God who is ancient, deep, established in the heart, entered in the secrecy or hidden in the secrecy, difficult to perceive, difficult to see, having thought about him or meditated about him, Dhira Harsha Shokov Jahati, the wise man leaves behind the happiness and sorrow. And by the way, Gita says the same. It would be difficult for the man to leave this happiness and sorrows thing, you know, without having realization of some higher being. So it always comes back. You know? But when you had that realization finally, then you can leave behind. So we are prescribed to leave behind happiness and sorrow before we saw the divine, and it is very difficult to achieve. So we try to do something reversed, so to say, to arrive at the result which is actually the condition of that. So we are kind of working upside down, but in a way we are preparing ourselves for this. I thought about this, why it is so difficult to achieve, because actually this is not the condition, this is the result.
Path is the goal is the path.
Yes, so the result is the is the path. Yes, correct. So there is no other. That's what we were talking about. This logic of Hegel. You cannot achieve the aim which is by the means which are not from that aim. Yeah? So we will have to do it. We will have to make equanimity and equality a part of our being before we achieve the divine, which will result in this equanimity.
Isn't this related to what we were talking about on Monday, that vacillation, the up and down? It's like we do it as best we can from whatever little bit we do see or do experience the divine. And then as that light comes, we see more and we offer more, and we're sort of
Yes.
alternating.
Yes, I'm just thought that somebody is knocking on the door. Yes. But that by which we try to achieve the divine has to be from that already, from the consequence of him achieving him, so to say. So as in the Taittiriya Upanishad, the Bhrigu receives the knowledge from Varuna, where he tells him all the time, Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasva, realize Brahman by tapas, tapo Brahmeti, because Brahman is tapas. So realize Brahman by Brahman, because Brahman is tapas, then by tapas you realize Brahman. Interesting, yeah? So you can't realize Brahman by some other means. The same here, kind of. Harsha Shoka, to leave, we can do it only at the end when we realize the divine, but we already do it before we realize the divine, to arrive at the divine. And this is the, yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, this is the difficulty of the path.
Is this also sort of an acknowledgement of the non-duality of, that it's always the divine that's doing it in essence, whatever
Yeah,
else is going on.
finally, yes, at the end we will see that actually this is the divine is doing. That's why.
Right.
Well, in this context, but it is applicable to every context in a way. Yeah? Every goal can be realized by the means from that goal.
Mm.
It's something like a very interesting law of existence.
Yeah, it's like the solution already exists in the formation of the question or the
Mm,
problem, and that's what's guiding it all along.
yes. The violinist is already in you. Yeah? You have to only let it come to the front. Yeah, the thinker, the knower, everyone is in you. You have to allow it to come to the front. So by the means of that thinker, that violinist, you allow this violinist to appear, to manifest.
Mhm.
This is, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the hidden, this is another beautiful explanation of this law. Yes, only by the means of the aim you can reach that aim.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And then, etat shrutva samparigrihya martyah pravrihya dharmyam anum etam apya samodate modaniyam hilabdhava vivritam sadmana chiketa sammanye. When mortal man has heard etat shrutva, having heard this, samparigrihya, and having grasped it, mortal martyr, when he is forcefully separated the righteous one from his body, pravrihya dharmyam anum etam apya, and having achieved this dharmic, subtle being, being is added, small and subtle being, then he has the delight, samodate, modaniyam hilabdhva, because he realized the one who is to be indeed delighted in. Verily I deem of Nachiketas as a house wide open. Vivritam sadma Nachiketa Sammanya. This is Yama speaking. I consider Nachiketas to be an open house or open seat, even Sadman. Sadma is um, the seat, the throne, but in this case it could be the house, yes. Wide open is the house. I consider Nachiketas to be a house wide open. This is interesting because one has to be open, yes, to receive this knowledge. We are blocked by our thoughts, by our intentions, by our aspirations, by our whatever, desires, preferences, understanding, language. So there are so many blockages, and once they are all open, we may receive this knowledge. And then Nachiketas speaks. Anyatra dharmat, anyatra dharmat, anyatra smat, krita kritat, anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha, yattat pashyasi tad vada. He wants more from the god of, from Yama. Tell me of that which thou seest other where than in virtue, and otherwhere than in unrighteousness, otherwhere than in the created or and the uncreated, otherwhere than in that which has been and that which shall be. So he wants to know about the transcendental, basically.
That which is beyond the dualities.
Yes, beyond, yes, dualities. Beyond time and space, basically. Sarve Veda, and this is Yama answering, Sarve Veda Yatpadam Amananti Tapansi Sarvani Cha Yadvadanti Yat Ichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti Tatte Padam Samgrahena Bravimi Om Ityetat. The seat and the goal that all the Vedas glorify and which all austerities declare, for the desire of which man practice holy living, and of that will I tell thee in brief compass. Om is the goal on Nachiketas. So Om is something which most probably was considered to embody both this and that world. So it is that, as Mandukya Upanishad would speak about, it is A-Um, all three sounds which are comprising the awakened state, Jagarita Sthanam, the state of awakened consciousness, and Swapna, sleep, and Prajna. Prajna is sleep without dreams. So if you combine all of them, you will have Om. And Om, when you combine them, leads you to Turiya, to the fourth. Put together, they are kind of revealing the transcendental. Something interesting about this idea altogether, because the transcendental will be revealed when we will be totally composed. When we compose all the states of consciousness into one, our embodied states, then the transcendental will reveal itself. Though it is staying transcendental as long as we are partially composed. Yeah? So there's some kind of knowledge in it, yeah? Which is amazing. So composed yukta is used constantly, this term is used in the Veda, is the one who is totally, perfectly united. Yeah? It is actually the last word of the Rig Veda. We will be looking in the Rig Veda course on into this hymn, the last hymn of the Rig Veda. Susaha Sati. Susaha Asati. So when you are totally together, perfectly composed. Yeah. So this to be totally composed is actually this, when you are no more separated from your sleep state, awakened state, and state beyond, without sleep, without dreams. So if these three would be combined, you would get the glimpse of the transcendental, Turiya. And this is Om. It is put into Om. I had once experience, amazing experience, only once in my life, when I was sleeping, when I was studying in the university, and I had my room in the hostel, and Uh, and in the dream, I see myself standing somewhere in the uh, railway station, buying tickets for the train or something. And then I hear the voice, "You are the child of eternity."
Mm.
And then I exteriorized myself from me standing there buying ticket. So I see myself like from outside. I know that I know already from that state that this is the dream. And I'm standing there seeing myself. And then in that state, I open my eyes,
Mm.
and I see the room. So I see the room, I see myself staying there in the dream, and there's something amazing happening. Yeah? It's like you are finally composed. Yeah?
Ah, beautiful.
Mm. It's just a glimpse. I'm sure that this could be a constant state. Can you imagine constant state of this kind? Which it's a total fulfillment. You don't need anything anymore.
Mm.
You no desires possible or preferences or anything. You just want to hold on to this state.
Mm.
Innermost and outer consciousness came into one. Right. So this is the Om. And then Yama speaks. That is Yama's speech. Etad hievaksharam Brahma, etad hievaksharam param, etad hievaksharam jnatva, yod yad yachati ichati tasyatat. For this syllable is Brahman. This syllable is the most high. This syllable, if one knows, having known, whatsoever one shall desire, it is his. Yo yad ichati tasya tat. This is an kind of exaggerating statement, but it is in a way true, because you don't desire anymore anything. You just desire to stay in that state.
And any desire that comes through is probably that of the divine. It's not personal anymore, so it's automatically granted.
Right, absolutely, yes. Whatever you have to do, you will receive the adesh, and you will follow it. Or even whatever comes through, you will find the meaning in it to be done. But it is not you who is kind of wanting it or doing it. There is no preference. And then, etat alambanam shreshtam, etat alambanam param, etat alambanam jnatva, brahmaloke mahiyate. This support is the best. This support is the highest. Knowing this support, one grows great in the world of Brahman. Then these are very simple shlokas. By the way, they are found in the Gita, especially from here. Najayate mriyate va kadachit. In the Gita, kadachit here vipashchit with some modification. One is not born and not dies. Vipashchit, the wise one, is not born, neither does he die. Nayam kutashchit babhuva kashchit. He came not from anywhere, neither is he anyone. This is interesting. He came from nowhere and he is no one. So they cannot identify him as someone. He is unborn, ajo, nitya, he is everlasting. Shashvatoyam Purano, he is ancient and sempiternal. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire, and he is not slain in the slaying of the body. He is not dying in the body dying. So he's no one, came from nowhere. And this no one who came from nowhere is present all the time. Only something is blocking our consciousness to receive him, to see him present. And then, hanta chet manyate hantum, hataschet manyate hatam, ubhautauna vijanito, nayam hanti nahanyate. If the slayer thinks that he slays, if the slain think that he is slain, both of these have not the knowledge. This slays not, neither he is slain, is he slain. So this is from the Gita, by the way, the same shloka. Gita took it most probably because Katha Upanishad is the older text. Yeah, from here all the karmic consequences. If the slayer thinks that he slays, he has consequences. Yeah. If the one who is slain thinks that he is slain, then he will have the gain. So that creates that tapestry of karma, of relations. Anor aniyan mahato mahiyan atma asya jantor nito guhayam tam akratuh pashyati vita shoko dhatu prasadat mahimanam atmanah. Anor aniyan, he is the smaller than the smallest, finer than the fine, huger than the huge, mahato mahiyan. The self hides in the secret heart. Atma asya, jantoh, of this creature, nihito guhayam, hidden in the cave of the heart. Tam akratuh, when a man strips himself of will, him, akratu, the one who has no intention, yes, that's what we spoke about meditation, when all the intentions even to know, or that Buddhistic meditation, the last intention is gone, akratu, one without personal will or preference, pashyati, he sees him. So when man strips himself of will and is weaned from sorrow, vita shoka, whose sorrow is gone, then he beholds him. Tam pashyati, he sees him. Purified from the mental elements. This is interesting, those mental elements which are blocking us all the time. Dhatu prasadat, literally from the purity of the fundamental elements. Mahimanam Atmanah, he beholds him, he sees the greatness of the self-being. Asino duram vrajati shayano yati sarvatah. Kastam madamadam devam mad anya jnatum arhati. Sitting, he moves far, he journeys far off. Lying down, he goes everywhere. So, who other than I, says Yama, is fit to know God, even him who is rapture and the transcendence of rapture? Madhamadam, Shri Aurobindo found an interesting way to translate. Madha is the joy or even madness or intoxication of delight. Yeah? Amadam is not. So beyond, he translates amadam is not the absence of joy, but as transcendence of rapture.
Mm.
So it's not lower, though traditionally it would be translated as lower, but he moves it higher. I don't know, somehow Yama became a little proud of his knowledge. No humility anymore. Who else could know about him? Who else could say about him who is transcendental to the bliss? And the one who is transcendental to the bliss is actually the Purushottama, because bliss is the transcendence. It's
Is that
Saguna.
that Turiya? Is that the same as Turiya?
Yes. And both of them Turiya, Madhamadam, because Turiya is also Saguna and Nirguna Brahman, both.
Mm.
Ashariram sharireshu anavastheshu vasthitam mahantam vibhum atmanam matva dhiro nashochati. Realizing the bodiless in the bodies, the established in things unsettled. This is beautiful. The established in things unsettled. The great and omnipresent self, the wise and steadfast soul grieves no longer. Nayam atma pravachanena labhyah na medhaya na bahuna shrutena yam evaisha vrinute tena labhyah tasyaisha atma vrinute tanum svam. This is what you were mentioning before. The self is not to be won by eloquent teaching, nor by brain power, nor by much learning, but only he whom his being chooses can win him. For to him this self bears his body. This is something interesting in a way that one cannot realize the divine unless one is chosen by the divine. Only the one who loves the divine is loved by the divine. Yes. So somewhere Sri Aurobindo has these aphorisms. Yes? If you choose the divine, you are chosen by the divine. So there is no other way to choose the divine. There is no other way to love the divine unless he chooses you. And this is the only way to know him. This is another secret matter behind. We may try and so on. Many people may try and become philosophers, and I don't know, professors of philosophy, but they are not really looking for the divine. They're looking for a job and for good living and so on, for some engagement, check way of living, satisfying their senses and nothing else.
Or
But
satisfying the mind's desire for
yeah, no.
knowledge. Yeah.
And there are many people like this, and we mistaken them for those who seek for knowledge. They don't. They need that knowledge as a professional part of their, work or something. And so they make portfolios and they pile up things, and then they show them, sell them to the bidder, the highest bidder. So this is happening throughout. That's why academia is so outdated in a way. In
Potential
this,
ego just grows and grows.
Yes. And references to the references, presentations of presentations
Yeah.
piling up. And they demand from any newcomer to be the same. You must go through that ordeal and learn all those things before you can say anything of your own. Even then, better not. Mm. But here, that's quite clear. This is an amazing statement. And then, Navirato dushcharitan ashanto na samahi. Oh, here is na asamahitah na shantamanasah vapi prajnenaiva prajnenainam apnuyat. Sorry, bad reading. Navirato, na avirato dushcharitan ashanto na shanto na ashantah na asamahitah na ashantamanasah vapi prajnanenai nam apnuyat. None who has not ceased from doing evil, or who is not calm, na ashantah, who is not concentrated in his being, na samahitah. Interesting. Asamahitah is not composed, not put together again. Shobindra translates, who is not concentrated in his being, or whose mind is not being tranquilized, pacified, nashantamanasah, can by wisdom attain to him. Interesting. Huh? Wisdom will not help. You need to cease to do evil things. You need to be calm, concentrated and composed, and your mind has to be absolutely pacified. Then, by wisdom, you may attain to him. Most probably he provides this force to pacify the mind, because if the divine wants to be known in you and grants you this, so he will give you also the means to achieve him. And there is the final statement of this chapter. Well, luckily we came to the end. Yasya brahma cha kshatram cha ubhe bhavata odanah mritu yasya upasechanam ka itha veda yatrasah. He to whom the sages are as meat and heroes as food, for his eating, and death is an ingredient of his banquet. How thus shall one know of him where he abides? Literally, it is for whom Brahman and Kshatriya both are the food, and Mrityu is the masala for this food. The death is a masala for the food. Who thus knows where he is, literally.
So is that saying that if that is your food, you will know of him or you won't?
No, where is he, the divine, when you have already Brahma and Kshatram as your nourishing. Brahma and Kshatriya is important also to it's knowledge and power. Yeah? For whom knowledge and power are the food, every knowledge, every power.
Yes.
And death is just a masala, a kind of little spice on the top. Who can say, who thus knowing, Itha Veda, Ka Itha, who knows thus, who knows in this way? Where is he the divine? So for the one who has this perception, it's like you overcome all the boundaries and death is not a problem for you. It's just a a little spice for the food of power and knowledge. It's a kind of like a koan, yeah?
Yeah.
Paradoxical statement of some kind. Okay, this is great. We finished the whole chapter.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank
Mm,
you so much.
Thank you for being here. Lovely. I read this a little bit before thinking about it before the class, and it is really very, very powerful if you read it silently for yourself in the morning.
Mm.
It makes totally sense. It's practical kind of approach to spirituality, which
Mm.
gives us a sense what it is, even more than just telling us what to do. It,
Right.
it opens some kind of mm, gates for receiving that knowledge, making it practical for us. I found it very practical today. I never found these verses. They were more philosophical to me. But today it was like, wow, it's very practical also.
True.
Mm. Great. So I will close with mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.